dangerous behaviour. 3 men, young, dissolute, but well-dressed. These bucks were no doubt wealthy. They had money to spend, plus an air of easy assurance about them. Outside stood a coachload of contraband, with armed servants left to guard it. Such creatures were not an uncommon sight at the Griffin's Head, for it lay on the route between Deal and Canterbury. Many a well-heeled individual made his way to the coast to buy his untaxed goods direct from the smugglers that infested the Kentish shore, returning by this route and avoiding the Dover to London road, with its ever-present, nosy excisemen. Tight, sipping his ale, took a step backwards and peered myopically through the doorway, his attention attracted by a sharp feminine squeal. With his poor eyesight, and at this distance, the faces were something of a blur, but the picture was plain enough. The men were laughing as the serving girl, Polly Pratchett, in some distress, struggled to get free. 2 tenant farmers at the bar of the small tap-room, who could see through the hatch into the main parlour, removed their pipes from their mouths and shook their heads. What they murmured to each other made him move through the doorway that led into the main parlour, in the hope of a proper view. Unfortunately, Polly was just a blur, running back towards the kitchens, attempting to cover her naked breasts with the tattered remnants of the blouse one of the bucks had torn away. He smiled. It was little wonder that they'd chosen to jest with her. She was a nubile creature with an ample bosom that needed no support, one designed by nature to catch the roving eye. Hoots of derision followed her fleeing form, as those who'd combined to assault her yelled noisily for more claret, as well as the sight of more bare flesh. He grinned. He was as partial as the next man to the sight of a naked breast. He put his tankard on the nearest empty table and made for the kitchen, jerking himself into the gait of a man with an urgent need to relieve himself. He was in luck. Polly, feeling safe in the kitchen, had removed the torn blouse so that she and her friends could assess the damage, and, engrossed in the task, they failed to register the hunched figure in the doorway. Tight, a mere 3 feet away, got a heartwarming eyeful of Polly's exposed flesh from waist to neck. The shout that followed his grunt of pleasure was accompanied by a flurry of activity, as Polly and her friends panicked in their attempts to render her decent. "Get away, you dirty, slimy old bugger!" "Can't a man have a piss?" growled Tight, determined to trot out his excuse. "Filthy old sod!" hissed Amy Iggleston, the oldest of the girls. "It wouldn't surprise me if you piss in the kitchen." But she addressed this remark to an empty doorway, for he had exited through the back of the inn. He turned and faced the outside wall, close to the partially open window, and unfastened his breeches. He was half angry, half amused at the stream of abuse directed at him, his age, and his probable abilities, which wafted out through the open kitchen window. "Never you heed my age, girls," he chuckled softly to himself. "Old Tight can still manage enough of a gallop to pleasure any of you lot." As the thin trickle of water began to play on the wattled walls, his mind wandered off to the past and to his days at sea. He'd served the late Admiral when the man was a mere lieutenant, and kept the post as his master rose in rank. It had been a good life. As a personal servant, Tight wasn't subject to the harsh discipline of the other hands. They were denied shore leave, for they couldn't be trusted not to desert. He, given the task of stocking his master's private larder, got ashore often. As a man who knew how to turn a coin from such a lucrative post, Tight always had the means to visit the local boarding houses. There had been more permanent attachments, of course, some that lasted months if his master was lacking a ship. But in the main he'd gratified his lusts on whores, of all shapes, sizes, ages, and colour. "I say that they're going to get worse, and tearing up Polly's blouse is not to be borne. We should rouse out Mrs. Smith to sort them out." That remark from Amy Iggleston dragged Tight's mind back from his fond, wistful memories. He'd assumed that Naomi Smith, the young widow who owned the Griffin's Head, was absent. It was her habit to visit her late husband.